Fortress Maximus!
The colossal Headmaster Autobot City.
Greetings, Transformers fans.
Am I ever glad to see you?
Back with not just another Transformers review, but only the second Ultimate Hero retrospective I've ever done on this channel.
Finally.
The character of Fortress Maximus is what makes him more special than most of the other Transformers. What if Optimus Prime was the size of a city? You'd get Fort Max.
Follow me! We mustn't endanger the humans!
The Webhead has always said that with great power comes great responsibility. Behold, the most responsible G1 Autobot that ever functioned. Before we get into the bells and whistles of the 1987 toy, and that mold's subsequent reissues, let's first take a look at why there's more, much more, than meets the eye to this mountain-sized, peaceful warrior.
Gladly, my friend!
There certainly wasn't much to the character in the Sunbow cartoon. He made one lone appearance in Rebirth Episode 3, which first aired on November the 11th, 1987. He's built by Spike and Cerebros on Nebulos, a far-off world populated by green human-like beings.
I can use the machines to rebuild this city. Into what? You're gonna find out, 'cause you're gonna be part of it.
He has a total of one line, voiced by Stephen Keener.
Decepticons, prepare to face Fortress Maximus.
Doing his best impression of Cobra Commander from the Mass Device 5-parter, when he was still hissing his S's.
Stop! I'm speaking to you, Destro!
And he's in robot mode for less than a minute as he battles Scorponok. Just another typical giant with no personality. Such a shame that the character wasn't utilized more, or voiced by Sunbow alumni Arthur Burghardt, who voiced some of Sunbow's ultimate villains. Devastator on Transformers.
Devastator says, surrender or perish!
And Destro on G.I. Joe.
For nearly 1,000 years, my family home has stood, and now is no more.
His deep, powerful, but intelligent-sounding voice would have been perfect for the giant pacifist who could do more damage than anyone.
Yes!
Thank God for Bob Budiansky. Bob's the sole reason this is an Ultimate Hero retrospective instead of just a typical toy review. Bob wrote the bio on the back of Fortress Maximus's humongous box, and unlike all the other powerful Transformers giants, chose to make Fort Max something more than just huge. The quote sums the character up perfectly. Prepare for war, but strive for peace. In just a few lines, Bob conveys just how fascinating a character Fortress Maximus is. A robot who has the power to destroy everything in his path, but, thanks to his elevated viewpoint, sees the bigger picture clearer than anyone else fighting around his feet, knowing that the solution to war isn't war, but sacrifice. Bob got the chance to flesh the character out in 1987 with a 4-part Headmasters miniseries, which ran concurrently with the main Marvel Transformers comic, which he was also writing. In issue 1, we see a battle taking place on Cybertron, between the Autobot forces of Fortress Maximus and the Decepticon forces of Scorponok.
This was a fine place to live, once.
Just like Optimus Prime, Max has had enough, sees no end to the conflict, and chooses to do the only thing that makes sense amid the madness of war: remove himself from the conflict.
My goal is to help all of us escape, not to destroy.
He's joined by some equally war-weary Autobots, and they leave Cybertron in search of a new world, to the planet Nebulos, a peaceful world inhabited by not green, human-like beings, where they intend to live out their remaining days in peace.
I failed.
The Autobots are framed by the sinister Zarak to be violent intruders, and the Nebulans seek out to attack.
We've got trouble.
Kup is eager to squash the threat, but Maximus again pulls back. In order to establish peace between the Autobots and the Nebulans, Fortress Maximus, one of the Autobots' mightiest warriors, not quite city-sized yet in the comic, but still a formidable force of destruction, sacrifices himself. In an iconic shot that not only graced the cover of the first Headmasters issue, but also the upper left corner of many Transformers comics after, Fortress Maximus removes his own head before the Nebulans, to prove how strongly he believes in peace.
We wished only for peace.
Just like Optimus Prime and his crew of Arcbots who set out for Earth, Fortress Maximus is followed by Scorponok and a crew of Decepticons,
Lying in wait as I suspected.
and have no issues with destroying everything in their path. The Nebulans aren't successful with remote controlling the bodies of Fortress Maximus and the other 4 Autobots who remove their own heads in a show of solidarity, so Fort Max suggests a new course of action.
I propose an alliance.
Rather than reattaching the heads, Max suggests the Nebulans become headmasters, becoming the heads of his own body and the other 4 Autobot headmasters, so that part of the responsibility still remains with the Nebulans.
We must interface.
Instead of simply telling the Nebulans to have trust and rolling off into battle like Optimus had done so many times with the humans, Fortress Maximus concedes some of his power to the Nebulans.
Together then.
And what follows is what happens when a person who doesn't want to fight and flees across the galaxy to escape conflict is finally pushed to fight.
We'll have to make our stand here.
It reminds me of what I believe was an old Bruce Lee interview where he spoke about constantly being challenged by others, wanting to make a name for themselves at his expense. The walk on philosophy. To paraphrase, if someone challenges you to a fight, walk on.
You will not escape my wrath so easily.
If they walk beside you and keep challenging you, walk on.
You fear me, don't you?
If they keep harassing you, run.
I shall use your head as a doorstop.
If they run beside you and continue to chastise you, run faster.
You worthless piece of slag!
If they keep up with you and continue to want to fight you, stop, turn around, and destroy them. Because you're dealing with someone with serious mental issues, or just plain evil, and they want to not only harm you, but your friends and family as well.
To avenge my friends, I will fight you to the death!
And that perfectly represents who Fortress Maximus is. The Autobot who could destroy an enemy base all by himself, but doesn't want to fight. If he's pushed, he'll fall back. If they keep pushing him, he'll continue to find the peaceful path. If he's followed to the ends of the Earth, or galaxy, and it's clear there's an obsession to harm him and his friends, there will be nothing left when he finally stops and turns around.
Not while I live!
When Fortress Maximus walks on, the best course of action for Decepticons is to walk on in the opposite direction, or run on.
For the sake of your own safety, that would be wise.
Hopefully that adds something to the toy.
Behold,
The tallest G1 Transformer ever made at 2 feet tall,
they built the ultimate weapon.
which was released by Hasbro in North America and Takara in Japan in 1987. In North America, he included Cerebros, who transformed into his head. Cerebros got no character development in the Marvel comic, serving simply as a drone. In the Sunbow Rebirth 3-parter, he got some of Fortress Maximus's pacifist personality,
My one wish is to never fight again.
but was much more whiny and pouting about it.
We Autobots are always fighting. Must we drag you humans into it too?
The animation model looked quite different from the toy as well, having black and purple instead of all gray, and a mouth plate. Like Fort Max, Cerebros was a triple changer, having a robot mode, forming the head of Fortress Maximus, and transforming into a computer-type station that could be inserted into Fort Max when he was in city or battleship mode. Fort Max was that year's only double headmaster. The head of Cerebros could transform into the first ever toy of Spike Witwicky, the longtime friend of the Autobots on the Sunbow cartoon.
No way! You've got to see this!
The problem for the Marvel comic, though, is that Spike was called Buster Witwicky, and when the toy was released, Spike had to be incorporated into the comic to help sell units. Rather than simply renaming Buster, Bob Budiansky created a completely new brother to Buster and son to Sparkplug named Spike, who appeared after the Headmaster's 4-issue miniseries and took over as the head of Cerebros after Galen died.
I'll be right back. good to be back.
Like the city-bought Metroplex before him, Fortress Maximus included some citizens to populate his city mode. Gasket and Grommet were individual vehicles that could be placed in various spots in city mode.
Into the city!
And could combine to form the robot Cog. He never appeared in the cartoon. Like his head Cerebros, Fortress Maximus is a triple changer.
Our capital city.
In city mode, he has ramps that Autobot vehicles can be rolled down with sliders, a central ramp that can eject vehicles by pushing a button, an elevator to take Autobots from ground level to first floor, a helipad that almost no Transformer helicopter can fit on. A GoBot works great though, thanks Adam. A spinning radar scope. A jail cell that can comfortably hold one of Soundwave's tape minions. And a cockpit in the tower for Spike. In the 87 Transformers catalog, the city mode was depicted a bit differently, with the legs down along the ground.
Prepare the city for battle mode!
Fort Max could also blast off into space in Starship mode, or as he's called in the hilariously bad UK dub of the Headmaster's cartoon, the Spaceship Bruce.
Spaceship Bruce will take you as close as it can to the meteorite.
It's basically a halfway point between city mode and robot mode. In robot mode, Fortress Maximus has the most firepower of any G1 Transformer. It's impossible to disarm him because, like Megatron, he is a weapon. In addition to his two handheld weapons, a dual laser blaster and a photon rifle, he's armed with hidden pop-out blasters on the backs of each hand, dual blasters on each forearm, dual blasters on each shin, a huge dual swing-out leg cannon, and a giant pair of swing-out hip cannons. That's 19 barrels of destruction pointed at anyone crazy enough to challenge him.
I am Galvatron. I am your destruction.
And challenge him.
When I get my fists on you,
And keep challenging him.
I will not be stopped.
There really can't be much sympathy for anyone obliterated by Fortress Maximus.
Idiot!
As Sergeant Walter Prendergast of the New York Police Department would say, frick about and find out. His articulation is fantastic for a G1 Transformer. His fists swivel, he has an elbow bend, and his arms can turn 360 degrees at the shoulders. Legs can go up with quite a bit of force applied. In addition to being the biggest G1 Transformer, he also requires the most power when it comes to moving his legs. He can do the splits, his feet can also tilt forward, and while it's not officially part of the design, the head can be inserted to look either left or right, to add a bit of variety for aiming poses, or just looking off to the side.
Observe.
In Japan that same year, Fortress Maximus was released with the same name. Most of the Japanese releases used the same box art that the North American releases used, but the Japanese Fortress Maximus used a completely different box art, featuring his extra accessory, one of the biggest accessories of any G1 Transformer for that matter. The Master Sword, which Fort Max used frequently on the Japanese Headmasters animated series. Unlike the US show, Fort Max made several appearances. He was voiced by Ikuya Sawaki, who also played the voice of Cerebros, who was named simply Fortress on the Japanese series. Also the name of their version of Headmaster Spike. Instead of a human or a Nebulan, Fortress was a little robot. Fortress also included an extra accessory, a Black Master Sword. After the death of Optimus Prime in the Headmasters series, Rodimus Prime returns and resumes command of the Autobots, but not for long. He hands the mantle of leadership over to Fortress, and departs in search of a new homeworld for the Transformers after the destruction of Cybertron.
フォートレスしっかり頼むぞ。
あなたのことだ。止めても無駄だろう。
Fortress Maximus was reissued in Japan the following year in 1988 with a new color scheme as Grand Maximus, Fortress Maximus's brother.
奴を追い払ったんだ。司令官ならではだ。
Another extra accessory was included, a pretender shell for Grand, the head of Grand Maximus.
よし、異常事態だ。我々も行ってみよう。
After that, many Transformers fans believed the mold would never be reissued due to the sheer size of it, that the days of 2-foot-tall Transformers were over by the year 2000.
Don't be so certain.
The mold was once again reissued and recolored exclusively in Japan in 2000, under the Robots in Disguise line as Brave Maximus, with the head renamed Brave and its smaller headmaster renamed Plasma.
The Earth is under my protection. You shall not harm her.
The days of bonus accessories were long gone, though. This version of Maximus only included the headmaster heads, the radar scope, and Cerebros' rifle, the pair of hand cannons, 2 master swords, pretender shell, and gasket and grommet drone vehicles were all omitted. Luckily, there have been some top-grade, fan-made customs to fill out the Brave Maximus arsenal over the years. And the original Fortress Maximus was reissued in Japan in 2013 in the Encore line, once again with both Master Swords. There have been some fantastic fan-made upgrade parts for Fortress Maximus to make the 2-foot-tall Colossus even more impressive. While his original hand cannon is one of the biggest G1 weapons ever made, it's a bit undersized in his hand, looking more like a big pistol than a rifle. Perfect Effect remedied this when they released PC-14 Combiner Upgrade Cannon. That's compatible with not only the Titan's Return Fortress Maximus, but by simply pulling off the grip adapter, will also fit in the fist of a G1 Fortress Maximus. It features a stock that can fold in for City or Spaceship Bruce mode, and a stellar paint job. And it's humongous, much more fitting for the giant Autobot who speaks softly and carries the biggest stick of all. The cannon was also included, with a different color scheme, along with another excellent upgrade, Perfect Effect PEDX03 Warden, a robot resembling the IDW comic version of Fortress Maximus, that could transform into a head that fits into the body of the 87 toy. A much better proportioned head as well. Warden and the rifle were recolored as Guardian for Brave Maximus, and an easy upgrade that only costs a few bucks for a roll of red chrome tape. A dazzling, reflective, Marvel Comics version style visor for either the G1 head or the Perfect Effect Warden head. And finally, Head Robots released the Centurion upgrade set, if you weren't happy with the oversized spike head on Cerebros. The set included both the Sunbow version of the head, still a bit oversized looking,
Leave me alone.
as well as the Japanese animated series looking head, which looks much better proportioned to the body.
残念ながら、打つ手は全て打ちました。
The set also includes a Master Sword with clear red blade for Cerebros or Fortress. Unfortunately, the heads are undersized compared to the G1 Headmasters when in robot mode, as well as very floppy and hard to stand. That's it for everything related to the 87 mold. There's been plenty of other molds of Fortress Maximi released over the years, which will be covered in a future History of Fortress Maximus video.
Hurry!
I appreciate your enthusiasm, Max. And that's your look at the G1 Giant, one of Cybertron's ultimate heroes. Big thanks to Hans Chow for the original art pieces that accompanied the Walk On segment. Check out his Instagram at Hans_Chow and tell him he rocks. Tap the like to give the video's reach a spike.
That's it. It just might work.
Leave a thought in the comment spot.
And the rest you know.
Thanks for watching. Good night, good luck, God bless, and walk on.
Very well.
Nerdmas Day. Alright, okay, time for the Patreon and channel member roll call. Big thank you to everyone who goes above and beyond to support this channel. Starting with the members of the Patreon tribe, this time in alphabetical order. Adam H, Adam T, John, Alex, Alexander, Ali Devil, Anthony D, Anthony R, Ashley, Audie, Avery, Bear, Bill, Bob, Bobby, Brent, Brian B, Brian V, Cameron, Carlos, Chaka, Chase, Chris, Christopher B, Christopher F, Christopher J, Christopher K, Clave, Dane, David, Derek, Dominic, Ebos, Eric, Ford Lover, Gaz, Gold Any Ranger, Greg, Gridiron Studios, Griffpool, Hans, Hubert, Jack, Jason P, Jason S, another Jason S, Jason W, Jace, John D, John J, John S, Joseph, Joshua, Judson, Kelly, Krishna, Linda, Luke, Mark L, Mark V, Mate, Matt, Matthew M, Matthew W, Maddie C, Melvor, Micah, Michael B, Michael C, Michael Q, Mr. Tinman Pin, Nevitz, Ninja, Obi, Professor Tim, Quanoman, Rad Retro, Ray Ray, Robert, Ryan, Scorpio 2, Scott, Scott B, Scott O, Sean F, Sean L, Sergio, Seth, Sean, Stephanie, Stephen, Steve, Stray Fox, Stuart F, Stuart M, Iron Lords Podcast, Thomas, TJ, Tom Ericus, Tristan, and ZZ. And thank you channel panel members, Micah, MC DJ, Gaz, Dave, Armar Deep, Smarten Up, Marcus, Dynamite, Stephanie, Tom, Scott, Tim, Sasquatch Man, Sergio, Bing Bong Toys, Destron Designs, and Bo. Thanks everyone, much appreciated.